He's parked up in Shanghai, Michael Schumacher. That's his race over. He's getting out.
No. I've been this disappointed in Shrek too. That is such a shame.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. It is a hobby day, mostly because I got to be able to kind of drop the stream and kind of get ready whenever. So, hence why I'm kind of just I'm here instead of like we're us doing. I mean, also I've been very much in need of doing this, although I need. Thank you. Every now and then I'll try to look over for both chats, but for now I'm mainly going to be able to see Twitch chat. I'm going to be real with you. All right. All right, so today we are starting Gundam Assemble. Here, I want to show more. I can show more of the box here. So we've got the main box here. For a moment, let me turn this off. So yeah, we've got the box here. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna start rolling on this. I'm recording this at the same time so that I have B-roll for when this is an episode of the podcast. But yeah, so we've got good old Gundam Assemble here. This is the Gundam TCG. Oh, I didn't turn this on. There we go. The Premium Card Collection Gundam Assemble set. So it's a mix of doing just normal assemble, and then it has some of the TCG cards, which I can go over here. There is no concept of their value at all, so if you see me handling these with less care, then I'm sorry. But we've got EX resource. How can I get away with the lighting now? Okay, I can. We have EX resource. Oh, specifically, especially, we've got Mako, which is Machu, which this was, I think, the random card of the pack. So the fact that I got Machu, pretty okay with. Then yeah, so it's two G Quux with the Omega Psychomu, 2 of the Red Gundam, G Fred, which honestly I gotta note, like the texture and the way that the hollow is done on these cards, it honestly it does make me interested in getting into the game. Mav Tactics with our Red Gundam, and then these are the kind of style cards that they come with. So these are just kind of little like showpiece versions of the cards, so you can kind of just put them with the main ones. So like instead of playing this, you could play it with this guy. That's why it still has down there, just in case you already know the rules. Although that's 4-4, this is 3-2. Maybe they're different. That's what I thought they were, but I don't play the game, so I don't know. This is what I bought it for. I bought it for this. This is what I bought it for. So we've got the Gundam Assemble kit. So as you kind of saw from that, you can actually see it's cool. They're actually labeled on the tops here. So we've got G Quux, the Red Gundam, and the G Fred. Dude, I bit my tongue yesterday. It still has a bit of swelling, and it is killing me. But yes, so um, we the sprues I will denote first off. And actually can kind of have some comparison. So a big thing about what this episode is to indicate is how do I feel it compares to a Warhammer sprue, right? And like building a Warhammer kit, because we do lots of Warhammer here. You know, we've got our Emperor's Children still going here. Then, you know, I mean, I've got Skaven. So like there is stuff we like. I have built Warhammer for a while. For those who don't know, this is how I started into hobbying, and it is only through my co-host and friend Dylan that I started getting into gunplay. And so when they announced Gundam Assemble, this was kind of to me like the concept of, oh, this is the best of both worlds. I'm super excited for it. Yeah, I'm really excited for this because I kind of get to have both. I can have my cake and eat it too in a way, right? Um, uh, so that's what I want to see though is, will this compare? Mm. Well, will this compare? Sorry. So I think I'm going to start with the G-Fred, though I think there's a good chance we could build all three today. We'll see how painting them is later. I don't think I'll get to painting them. Well, the sprues coming, or the base is coming on a sprue is interesting to me, but it's whatever. I will note, based on this base size, if this remains the base size for Gundam Assemble kits, yeah. Yeah, if this remains the size for Gundam Assemble kits, this actually will work really good as as Tau battlesuit replacements if you're interested. I actually could test that with one here in a minute, but I'll wait for now. But yes, let's get this. Let's start this up. There are instructions, like actually there's two sets of instructions. We get them for parts of the game. You get a mat. Classic thing to do. But then, so we do get these. And the nice part is supposedly all we need are the nippers, which is cool. But it does generally seem pretty straightforward. However, if I do find so I'm going to attempt to see how quickly I can get through this, or how well. And if I get stuck, then I'll refer to the instructions. They'll be beside me here. All right. Without further ado, let's get right into this. Okay. So, we yeah, I think we're essentially gonna need to take most of this apart. I think, off the sprue anyway. So let's just kind of get through that. I feel like I'm gonna need to look at the instructions realistically at some point, but no. All right. Where's the other? Is this the other leg? Yes. So far, I will say I do like that the sprue is kind of really like the sprue itself is pretty nice and thick. I mean, it's built like a normal Gunpla sprue, where you kind of have the round edges. All right, we're gonna do some immediate cleanups here. See, the difference is in this scenario, I have far less of an idea what is gonna be visible and what's not. So it does cut pretty smoothly, honestly, much like standard Gunpla plastic. All right, that one seems good. All right, let's see. So I did have to look. This one is the left leg. The question's how, actually. This is so these are not glue kits. Everything in this should be push fit. The question just kind of is now how. Hmm. Hmm. This is a rather tricky one. Okay. It does fit in there. It just is really tight. Like that is very low tolerance of a fit. I will say the fact though that this is basically standard gunpla plastic is actually really good for the concept of cleanup, because there definitely are kits out there that have terrible cleanup, and the plastic like breaks really easy. This fit was easy enough. There's just that slot was easy. Does appear like I can close up the torso now. That actually did kind of fully snap the leg into place, which is good. I also should note there is pretty much virtually, see if this will lock in here. There is practically, there is like no mold lining here. Like, granted, I would say today it's pretty rare in general, you know, like for example, on this Space Marine or Emperor's Children Space Marine, you don't really see him here either. You can kind of like you can see little bits of artifacts and stuff. See that right there? You can see that's a mold line right there. That little sandwich. Because that's a whole leg piece. That's not a joint that I put together. That's my shady sandy. You can kind of see some there. But like, but then again, yeah. I just need to remagnetize his arm quick. Here, there is. I don't see really any. Yeah, this looks very clean. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because, so putting this together, for those who are normal Gundam people but are not necessarily like war games or smaller miniature builders, this right here, this is what you would normally use. This is why you would, if anything, you would end up gluing your models, because no matter how much I press this in to try to make sure everything's connecting better or whatnot, we're getting small gaps, which this is all inevitably comes down to tolerance. But this is why, for example, then that miniatures builders have been, or like, you know, Warhammer and whatnot, that we've used even on a push fit build, glue, because it'll really make sure that that's closed. I like to wait though until I'm kind of near the end, just because, to even attempt to that, just because I want to make sure that there's no like other issue. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm gonna do these comparisons with Warhammer with a lot of the Gundam Assemble stuff as it comes out in the future, right? As the game progresses and, you know, comes out and all that. Like, these arms definitely are going to be easy enough to get in here. They're definitely not getting a lot of points right now for posability, right? That I will, but Warhammer hasn't been great for posability either. Like, This is it. Like because of the way the arms push fit in here, this is it. Um, and again, there's a reason I'm comparing this to Warhammer versus a Gunpla. A Gunpla is a completely different concept. It's basically the part, or it's part of a diorama. Why am I? Oh, I was like, why am I hearing myself? Kind of. There you go. It's basically part of a diorama. Whereas this is for a game, right? This is being used for a board game, much like again, like Warhammer is. So this standard Marine here, not I can't pose him anymore. But like leading into it, at least I could. I was able to play with the sword and find a good spot to get the sword so that it looks like he was drawing the sword, you know. With magnets, I can kind of make this like this. And I will note, technically, what I could do is I could insert the plastic. I could insert it like this, right? I could insert everything in here and then so I could then snip off the arm and then make it so that the arm could go up or down. But obviously the issue with this is it has to make sense with the rest of the pose. And the legs would be really hard to get to pose right if I were to cut them off and try to fill, you know? So it's kind of why I'm a bit more on the like, posability score right now a little low. But it's tough because in the market, it's one of those things. A big thing about a number of digs for Gundam Assemble is going to be, is this a Gundam Assemble problem? Or is this a hobby? Is this a hobbying in general problem? Is this a hobby manufacturer's problem? Because a lot of things are just going to be the case in Gundam Assemble because big players like GW are doing it this way. And this isn't meant to be then like, go flame GW for more posing then, because part of the reason I think that GW is doing it is because they want to make sure that every kit essentially can be built in the way that you see it. I'm trying to look actually at this head quick, or this face. This is a good chance to really see the detail. Yeah, my fingers are pretty bad right now. Don't worry about that. Yeah, the eyes, the holes for the eyes. Like there's a lot of small detail going on here, which is why I'm so closely examining it. And we're not getting like a lot of like plastic strain and stuff like that. Like the molding is actually really good here. Only one big mold line there at the top. Barely visible. That is a huge plus. That is a huge plus. Oh yeah, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see how swappable the heads are. My guess is already looking at the red Gundam. Probably not. But See, this is the kind of plastic that the Gundam itself could be made out of, and these suck. Trying to file or cut these down is a nightmare. Like here. See how like you can already see like when I take one little swipe. See how digged in it gets there, and this is a glass file. Like this is not meant to be that abrasive. So that would be if the kit was made out of this plastic, which a lot of old Gunpla are made out of this plastic. This plastic. This actually kind of would suck. All right, this base is asking for a lot to be done with it. So this is something I'll play with when we do painting. I think I'll play with that a lot. Because like this is asking for so much. But all right, we've got the G Fred complete. There we go. We got the G Fred complete. Come on. Hold it together. I hate you. Looking good. Honestly, yeah. I mean, it really does look good, though. Like, whole build, not a crazy amount of mold lines. Yes, I know people would really like more posability. Oh, I don't have the backpack on. I'm dumb. I didn't put the backpack on. But yes, I know there's a lot of Gundam fan, like Gunpla fans that are gonna want a lot more posability. And you know, I don't think they're wrong to ask for it. I think not getting into the game or not getting into this style of hobbying because of it is kind of a shame, because essentially like skirmish wargaming, like as a hobby, is really fun, and there's so much you can do with these because of the fact that they are you know, much smaller, and you have a lot more like kind of room to work with on your own. And because they're gray, you know, they are now yours to fully customize. Like I already know for a fact that I'm going to do a bunch of fun swapping with the that one took a good. I'm gonna do a bunch of fun swapping with the colors and stuff between the three kits. I'm not gonna paint them standard. I've been debating the concept of like, would I wanted to paint every Gunpla standard or every Gundam Assemble kit standard? And maybe I'll at least do one of them, but I definitely had a thought with the G-Quux to paint it a little more unique. Maybe make the G-Quux kind of like my colors, which effectively would be this paint scheme, with this teal and this pink. But yeah, honestly, I would say, yeah, there's a lot to like about this kit. Oh, I didn't clean up the insides. Let's do that now. I don't know. Do I actually really? I don't think I need to cut it. I think I just need to file it. is going to be kind of hard to reach, I think. All right. That'll be, I think, good enough for painting. I think it looks good. I think the G-Fred looks good. Let's do the red Gundam. Because I haven't built one of those yet either. I don't know why I started with the shield, to be honest. I guess partly because I should have actually looking over. Let's see. Okay, so it's the long one here. You know, I will give a minute criticism here. They're having it where it's like, so the fist is here. Realistically, yeah. I guess because it's kind of a it's kind of a Jesse's hair situation. So because they stand, right? So I'm going to use the G fret as my example here. Oh, nope. I don't need to be recording this. So it's kind of always the thing with Gundam where like the gun, they kind of start and they're chilling like this. They're like, yeah, I've got this shield and it's over here, it's standing up. But then obviously that means that when they move forward or they would bring the shield up, it almost should look like this, right? Sorry. It almost should look like this because they're holding it this way. Oh, let me get this right. Hold on. Sorry. Yuki Terushu, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. But yeah, so like if they hold it up, they'd be like holding it like face up like this, which obviously this isn't a good look. They want it looking like this, especially like there's kind of the porthole here. So they obviously from a universe perspective, and you can actually kind of see it here, they have this swivel. It's kind of on a swivel. You can kind of see it there. It's just funny to me though, because it gets at my brain a little bit than on a model like this where it's stiff and I can't turn it. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's see. Let's get the other arm. Yeah, it's just the other arm and torso. Which is where? Okay, there's the other arm. Filing something like a round beam saber like this is always inherently very interesting. Because you really don't want to just like go up and down like this. Like you don't want to do this or just even this because you'll make a flat spot and that doesn't look good either. So you have to like roll your file. But honestly, I've had to do pretty little box cutting, or not box cutting, cutting with my knife. It's mostly just been filing, which I think is good. I think that's a fair. You're never avoiding anything entirely, right? It'd have to just come not on a sprue, which is kind of the whole half the fun part. Where's my... This one might need the knife, though. It's looking a little extra. Yeah. Same here. The knife does actually work very cleanly, though, on this plastic, which again is actually a good positive for it. I cannot tell you the number of kits between even just Warhammer where some of them just don't cut very well, and usually it's older plastic kits that are like that. But um, and then just other manufactured stuff. We haven't yet done the Trench Crusade kit I got at Adepticon. My Prussians. And I am very interested to see how that build goes, just to see all inherently the quality of what that Trench Crusade team is doing. I've heard good things in general about their their manufacturers, and you know it's all made in Poland. Go Poland! How am I doing this? There we go. Really making sure this goes right all the way in here. This is a funky angle piece right here. This like off angle, not fully fitting into the spot. Yeah, safe to say this is not my favorite fit here. Focus up. Yeah, this is not my favorite fit here. There's a big gap here, which is not my favorite thing. Not into that as much. That might get a plastic glue in later. Hmm. I was looking at some of the paint suggestions. They were interesting to me. All right, so this one went together pretty okay. It kind of matches up with the panel lining here. There, that actually looks pretty okay. And again, really not seeing much for anything mold lining wise. Pretty clean, nothing crazy. You know, the shield looks good. Oh, oh, I forgot to actually answer my wife. Ow. My hand is like cramping a little. This one potentially is going to have a bit of a sprue spot nightmare to it. That could have been bad. Ooh, okay. I definitely thought I just rolled this off to break it. This is a bad head fit right now, actually. This neck fit is not going well. There we go. That could have been better. I may or may not have dropped it. I want to put him forward more on the base. Oh, actually, that's how they had him designed anyway. Yeah, because it's like he should be like this, you know, he should cover the top a lot. Just twist it off. I'd literally just did that with the base. Actually, I just tore it off. I just tore it off the sprue because it's just like, I mean, look, it's pretty simple to just pop it right off. And this is so like the base is so unimportant when it comes to that. Like, yeah, if I want to, you know, smooth it so it just feels good in the hand, you know, I can just quickly file it down. Oh, now it's nice and smooth in the hand, real easy. Because this is like the kind of semi like think of this is like the plastic that they would use on like an old high grade kit. So pretty, it's pretty not, it's pretty whatever. But all right, Char's Red Gundam, well, slash Shuchi's Red Gundam, taking all finished up here. Honestly, I was a little nervous about how well this sword could clean up here, but actually cleaned up pretty nicely. You don't really see much for the sprue spots. You just see one kind of big mold line there. I just noticed. You know, the problem in a lot of scenarios is when if you do the big pops, um, my concern is the pop, one of those pops I'm gonna hear is the bit that I'm trying to get off the sprue snapping in half. I think that cleared up the mold line there. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. All right. Yeah, a red Gundam. That's not quite red yet. The funny thing is, I could just turn this into the normal Gundam. Who would know? Except for the Xeon icon, which would actually even be funnier. Keep the Xeon logo, but then still keep it a white Gundam. Yeah. All right. One final assembled kit. Yeah, so this is set. This is for the Gundam Assemble game, which will be launching fully in the fall. I'm really pumped about it. If you go in my links below, you'll actually see a link to the podcast, which is if you click the panel, we have a whole episode about looking at kind of the preview and first and like demo game they've done of Assemble. I'm pretty pumped for it. It looks really fun to me, as somebody who is a Warhammer builder and player. It it will come, it's going to come at the reality of doing a skirmish game like this, where, like, for example, there is not, we're not getting the same posing that we're used to, with Gunpla. We're not getting that, but what we're getting is a blank slate, right? Like, this is a different type of hobbying, but it's one that I am inherently quite used to with Warhammer, right? Yeah, like I've you go from this, these aren't the same model, but like, you go from this to this. And that doesn't mean that you lack creativity, because like, this isn't how a Night Lord is supposed to look. So you can still get a lot of creativity out of it, even if you can't do posing. Could they? Sure. But when you're at this scale, you're asking a very different question at the same time, So that's kind of part of it. All right. I'm setting the recordings on my camera while I'm doing this. So much like the G Fred, we're gonna I will note, so these are not widely available right now. They did a launch set for a while with Gundam TCG, where they had a few kits be part of that, where you could kind of essentially like test build the Gundam Assemble kits by getting these boxes, and they come with some cards. They're nothing special, but it's just the ones of whatever one you bought. So like, this is the special one where you got like a Machu, but then it's just like G-Quux, 2 of those, Red Gundam, 2 of those, G-Fred, 2 of those, and then like a normal, like a action card essentially for the game, and then these kind of showcase cards. So it's obviously meant to be kind of a mix, right? It's to take the TCG crowd and introduce them to this miniatures game. Really all that exists right now is like, if you play, grab it just for, so like when you play, for example, if you have Red Gundam on the field, then you can kind of like put this on it. That's really all you can do with it for now. But these will be, I'm hoping that any of these kits that they've come out will come out with that. And yes, it is a dice system. It's a mix, so you will have a number of dice that you will roll for various, like I think it was like attacks, movements. I don't remember them all off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've looked at the tutorial video. But then the cards have abilities. Those cards, the ones I was just showing, that's for the TCG. Completely different. Nothing to do with the game, with Gundam Assemble itself. Gundam Assemble will have a dice system in it. It's kind of like a hybrid setup. If you knew anything with Warhammer, it's like Warhammer Underworld. Otherwise, it's like a lot of the board games that like the kind of like there's a lot of different types of these types of board games out there where they're these mix of dice and cards, like dungeon delver type board games. So like the Bloodborne board game, or like whenever there's a video game that gets a board game, basically they end up working like that. Like whenever you're at like Target or something and you're like, oh, this X video game has it's X video game, the board game. They'll likely play, they all kind of play like that. But this then has more of a skirmish aspect to the actual board game part, which is the part I like because I really like playing Kill Team. But Kill Team has a fair number of issues that I think do make it difficult to get into. And the price definitely being one of them. And honestly, being able to convince my friends to buy a $13 starter set and then letting them decide later if they want to spend $40 on a, like on more models, up to them totally. But like, it makes it way easier. And yes, 40 does probably seem like a lot for 3 small models. This wasn't the Gundam Assemble thing is cheaper because it's a whole thing. But the TCG Assemble set, but like a lot of these ones are going to be, I think it's 35 actually. It's 35 or 40. I think it's 35 though. They're going to be $35 for 3 of these sized models. Which they're not tiny. They're bigger than like a Space Marine from Warhammer, right? Not by a whole lot, but they are. And I get where people are like, $35 for that, I could get so many high grades for that. It's like, yes, but you're not also getting you're getting very different types of models too. And you don't paint them, or at least you don't paint them easily, You have to do a full reset. You kind of just get a blank slate here, which is nice. Usually a thing that I like about doing these types of gray miniatures, like with Warhammer. But it all depends on really where you're starting from, right? And what is it that interests you about hobbying? If you're into the idea of painting and having these clean slates, then this will look great to you, and you'll be really excited for something like Assemble, because then my number one thing about Gunpla is I build them and they sit on my shelf, and I'm not as into that. I like being able to build my models and then obsessively play with them, A lot of time, yeah. It's kind of just like you pick your favorites, and if that's just based on the models themselves, like if you're just really into the Warhammer design, then you'll really like the Warhammer design. You'll probably end up like playing Warhammer itself. Otherwise, if you're really into Gundam, then Gundam Assemble will seem attractive because it's a simple game. It's nothing that it's going to be too crazy. It's enough to be able to get in, but enough where there looks like to be a decent amount of good strategizing and playing through the board to make it still fun and exciting. So I am very excited for Gundam Assemble. I have a lot of high hopes for it. A big thing, honestly, though, is I want to be. The problem is when it comes out. If I do like playing the game, which will be the number one test, right? Is the game will come out, and then I'm gonna play a number of games, right? And be like, all right, here's my thoughts on the game. And if I like it, if I think it's a really fun game, then a big thing that's going to come with that is that I'm going to end up kind of having to like almost sound like a shill for a while. And the reason is not to be a shill or not to try to get whatever. It's because the only way for a game like this to survive and to make it through the dreaded, you know, is anybody playing this concept is to get people into the game. So I'm going to have to kind of sell the game if I like it because of the position with the podcast and everything. If I don't like it, then obviously I'll say, it's not fun. I don't care. I won't, obviously. Like, if I don't like the game, then I'm not gonna help it by it just because, like, you know, we talk a lot of Warhammer because I like Warhammer, you know, like I do the Gunpla hobby and I talk about doing that stuff because I like building the Gunpla. If I don't like this game, I won't push for it, you know, like, but I have a lot of hopes that I will like it. I'm very hopeful that I will like it. Oh, poo. Because I mean, so far, honestly, this build experience is pretty good. Because what I like about it the most is it's really, really fast. I'm not being held up by trying to get a bunch of extra parts together. It's like, this is our third one. I've been streaming for an hour and 22 minutes and we don't have much to go, you know, and that is really nice. Being able to have that benefit to just put this together and be like, all right, we're already done, basically, is really nice. And I really like it. I feel like something's wrong here, though, because, come on, you can kind of see, like, in there, you can kind of see this, like, gap in there. And I feel like I shouldn't. Let me check. It looks like, you though, it might just be the way it's designed. All right. It's just, I don't. Yeah. Yeah, I think it has to be because it really can't go lower. Because otherwise, then it gets in the way of the other leg. I will say it is at least nicely rigid. Um, I've been having to press in pretty hard on a number of these joints, and it is not like snapped or broke or anything. But some of the joints themselves don't feel amazingly secure. All right, let's see here. All right, yeah. Oh, get rid of you. All right. And then let's see here. They want me to do shield, a shield arm and head before the other arm. Rather surprising. Mostly just with the head going first. At least so early. Also, one thing I really like about this is that I've pretty much barely needed the instructions. I've glanced at them to take peeks at maybe just little bits or stuff if I get lost, but nothing where I've had to really look at it and be like, what the fuck is this saying? Which I have done on other kits. I have done that on a number of real grades in my I've done that a number of gunplay kits in my time. So they'll let do a good snap there. I love do want to note though, I do love the G-Quux design. Like it is a big reason why honestly I did enjoy a lot of G-Quux was just I thought the mobile suit designs were just really cool. I mean it makes sense, right? Because like the the Evo suits themselves are incredibly iconic, very beautiful in so many ways. So mixing the two kind of greats of mecha design makes a lot of sense that they would end up with very cool designs. There we go. The head ain't fitting great. I'm wondering if it's because this piece is stuck or preventing it, making it stuck. There we go. Jeez. The head was not wanting to get in there. They will probably very much so. I heavily expect them to feel like painting Tau. Actually, if anything, I argue that it might feel a little worse because I think, well, I guess it depends. There is, in the case of G-Quux, there's actually a strange amount of extra little, like all these little, you know, like all these little extra bits and hidey holes will kind of help. They're not purely just, oh, this is flat. You know, this is a flat thing. Like all this design in the face, you know, all that will kind of help, but it will. I do expect a number of these to feel pretty tough on painting, but at the same time, tough paint jobs sometimes are what allow you to really think and be creative. Like really forcing yourself out of your comfort zone is often where you get a lot of your best work. I mean, for example, this I still wager being one of my best miniatures, and because I really tried, I was not. I hate doing flesh. I hate doing. I'm terrible with like a lot of glow effects, so this definitely forced me out of my comfort zone. But it's honestly, I believe one of my best looking models. I think I've this is one of my best paint jobs I've ever done. So getting out of your comfort zone can also be really beneficial for you, you know? So I don't shy away from the challenge. That is definitely coming for me. I gotta shave you down. What's going on here? There you go. This is not my favorite thing. I'm gonna have to really make that black to feel like this is gonna be a scenario I'm gonna have to make. I'm gonna have to make this inner part focus. There you go. I'm gonna make this inner part really black, and then this like a more like give it a little bit of extra silver that's not here to make it feel more like see through, quote unquote. All right. I'll have to clean that up in a moment. This backpack is definitely not taken to my cuts very well. This side of it did. That head definitely might end up getting glued in. Yeah, I think these are going to definitely want a good amount of basing, but all right, that's the G Quux. It's pretty good looking. Again, not much for a lot of mold lines, pretty clean. The backpack definitely got shredded a little bit in my attempts to get some of the spruce spots off. But the shield is very clean. All the details are clean. I like it. And that's our these are our 3 pieces of the assemble kit. So, and this is how usually a box is going to go. It's that you'll get 3 models, but the nice part is that 3 models is a whole team. So you get kind of everything that you need by like to start playing by getting a box. So like if your friend has the board and everything, you know, and you're like, I want to start with whatever, like I want to start with this, you know, this kit that's available, then you could go out, get a box, and then go play with your friend. You know, that is the nice part about this. So yes, it seems like I know a lot of people were in the comments of our Gundam Assemble episode where they did not like the price of, I think it was $35 for the 3 models. But compared to Warhammer, there's 2 things. Compared to Warhammer, it's astonishingly good. And then, honestly, compared to most other miniature war game or skirmish games out there, for this scale of model, again, we've got to remember we're looking at, oops, thing fell. We're looking at, you know, we're bigger than a Space Marine, right? Like we're currently sitting taller than a Space Marine. Correct, exactly. So, but you're looking at the, you know, the context is right to a gunpla builder. This is like getting 1 high grade kit. This is a relatively equivalent price to get a high grade kit, and they're much taller, they're much bigger, and they are they're very posable. Like they're still very posable. There's a lot of value in their kits. But Gunpla is competing with other models of its ilk, right? Helicopters, trains, like things that you don't necessarily maybe play a game with on its own. You can do other stuff to make things work. You can, you know, you can buy electronics, you can buy lights, you can buy motors to make the trains work, the helicopters work, all that. But on a lot of their natures, they don't, much like Gunpla. Where in this case, this is a game, and compared to other skirmish games out there, 35 is pretty reasonable for 3 models of this size. I mean, think of it this way, right? Like, imagine getting 3 just 3 Tau battle suits, the standard Tau battle suit, right? Which this is probably the closest to. That you don't even, I think, get in a multi-model kit anymore. And that's still more than $35. So I think context is going to end up continuing to be important in the realm of Gundam Assemble. But the fact is still that when that starting set comes out, that's going to come out at $13. And that's going to come with 6 models, the whole board, rule sets, and dice. It's going to be literally everything you need to play the game for $13. For $13. That's insane. It's crazy. Imagine if Games Workshop released a starter set of the game where it was a totally playable form of Warhammer 40. For example, I guess in this case, imagine if they set out a Kill Team intro set. That launch box was $13. Imagine. That's insane. Like, that alone is going to be so much worth the value of it. You know, like it's going to be so valuable. Just for starting and getting people into the game, you know? So, but these I do think they look really good. I like the building of these assemble kits is really nice because of how honestly short it was. Like the fact that, you know, we got an hour and 40 minutes in and we got through all 3 models. Now I just have to paint them. Like, I'm not burnt out like I often am building a whole squad of Space Marines, you know, or clan rats, you know, like, or sisters, especially with sisters. Sometimes some of the sisters kits have so much stuff to them, you know, like when I finish this, like I'm exhausted. Like when I finish Judith, like, man, I'm exhausted. I'm not painting this right away. But with some of these, like maybe I would. My painting setup is currently a mess, so I'm not doing that today. But also don't have time. But like if I had time, I wouldn't be opposed to getting started, getting some primer going, and just getting it started up. You know, like that's what's cool about this. And then obviously the other nice part is now I can kind of make and choose how I want to paint them. I could. Now they give you some nice example like tutorial things for painting. So they tell you like here's some of the colors so you can get red, and these are based on Mr. Hobby paints. So this red code, this blue, grayish blue, they're black, white, orange, you know, or in the case of G-Fred, you know, we've got their purple, black, orange, and emerald green. And then, you know, just kind of playing around essentially with shading and all that. And I think Assemble has a lot going for it. I am pretty gosh dang excited for the whole thing to come out in the fall, but we're going to do some painting on these in the near future here, and we'll see how that goes, because while I'm very excited for being able to paint these, there's definitely going to be some bit of like, oh boy, you know, there's a lot of small bits in here. Uh-oh. You know. So hopefully it doesn't end up being too bad. But it's definitely a realm where it will make me a bit nervous, and but I'm also excited. I'm nervous but excited to paint these up. So that'll be the next time we do a Gundam Assemble stream. That's what we'll be doing. We'll paint these. Um, probably honestly just be one of them, but still, I think we'll have fun and we'll be able to make good use of it. The thing, especially by then, I will also want to do is potentially get some stuff for basing. I think something like the G Fred, especially where there's so much base space here. Like I think you could get really creative with the available space and like really make some cool basing for it. But yeah, that's gonna do it for now. Also, I think the bases are gonna be different. They're gonna get hex bases, I think, for the standard game, where these come with these disc bases. So that will change as well. They'll have to. So I'm not gonna. I might temper myself a little bit, but I don't think the difference between the hex and the circle base is going to be a huge deal. So we'll see if that matters in the future. But it is something to keep in mind because it's not. There's no base to base type rules. The game operates by like specific squares or hexes of the board. So there's no like, oh, there's no worrying about like having to be like, I have line of sight to you because your base is around the corner, blah blah blah. Like there's none of that. So, but all right, that'll do it. I think for our Gundam Assemble here. I'm just gonna hide myself here for a moment. I'll be here still. I'm just gonna quickly put let's see. Let's just do. Nope, that's not what I want. Let's do. Oh, here you go. This will be good. Let's do this. Wait, I have to hide me. All right. Just for now, I just need to disappear for a moment because I'm otherwise gonna flip out if as I move I gotta move my stuff around here, and I'll look really really weird. So. Might hear my. There we go. Oh no, I've twisted the wrong way. There we go. All right. All right. But yes, I think that now is a great time to kind of so I can really showcase what the difference is. Let me just switch my category here. Let me turn these back on. All right, let's do this quick. Hey, I'm back. It's me again. All right, so yes, let's get to. Let me get to Gundam Assemble. Let's get to their website. All right. So yes, we've got so Gundam Assemble here is pretty. Let's get to the products here. So yeah, so let's see. Oh yeah, $40. So it's $40. 40 is the kit, and it comes with 3 of them. And now the deluxe sets are rather a little bit more expensive, though I would argue that they're pretty justifiably so. So the launch deluxe set, the one that will come out at launch of the game, this does come with a lot. So you get an extra board, but it also comes with, where are you? 13 miniatures, a necessary unit card for the game. They're the tactical card you need, your game token, the objective cards. Essentially, I believe it's either 2 maps or it's double-sided. I can't remember what they said. The die you would need, your handbook, and then the little quick rule reference sheet. But even then, the 13 miniatures, pretty good for especially given that some of them are different sizes. So for here, for example, you can actually see, nope. Can I, oh, let's just do this. You can see one of them is this guy here, the big kahuna, the white base. And then it's also this here. So this is the deluxe set is for the 5v5 game mode. But you can see it. So it comes with all of this stuff. These are the packs for their data sheets. This is for the deluxe set. Yes, this is for because the 5v5 game mode, it's 5 mobile suits versus 5 mobile suits. So like in this case, you know, they got Ball, Gun Tank, the RX-78. I forget the name of this thing, but this thing, you know, here's the Zaku, but then also they have like landing ships and stuff. But then yeah, these are all like all the tokens and stuff for like objectives. So like these are each like objective stuff. We've got like different little extra base stuff that you can score points off of. There's energy spaces. So there's kind of a fair bit going on here. But yeah, the deluxe set does have a lot to it. Oh, this is the rule page. I wanted to get to that later. Oh, sorry. I said 13 earlier. I don't know why. It's 35. I'm an idiot. I don't know what gave me the idea that it was 13 fucking dollars. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I'm spreading lies on the internet like a good VTuber. Anyway, anyway, the $35 set. This is the starter set. This is for the normal 3v3 mode, but you get a lot of cool models. Honestly, you get Barbados, Epion, Wing, the Char Zaku. I forget its name, but this one from also from Iron Blooded Orphans. I haven't watched the show yet. RX-78. But yeah, then you get all the D10 you need. And then the cards, again, for objectives and for your hand, for doing the special abilities, the data sheets themselves, so you can keep track of stats and everything. And then all the tokens you need for the starter set. So, my bad. I said 13. I'm just dumb. But still, I mean, and so this is all the stuff that's launching in October, but then a month later, we're getting like 2 drops already, like very quickly. Like there's going to be a lot coming very quickly for this game. And I would hope that it definitely would come through. I do want to note though, I'm in a I think this is pretty good. I'm in a mixed bag for this color set. It is really nice though. $50 getting you 3 models, a whole paint set, and a brush to start with. Honestly, I'm sure honestly that it's pretty solid. Like it's fine. But Gundam artifacts. I don't know. Oh, right. I remember. Dylan pointed those out to me when we were at Gundam Base. No, I don't believe so. I mean, technically, yes. Could you realistically, in any game out there, take a model and use it as a proxy? Sure. I mean, unless somebody's a dick at the game shop, like, yeah, sure, somebody could say no, but like realistically, yes. If I wanted to take my Tau battle suit and call it the Epion, then sure, like, doesn't have to be that somebody isn't necessarily gonna be stopping me doing that. But like, do I think it's necessary? No. I mean, like getting into skirmish and wargaming is such a funny thing because I have talked yeah, I mean, I think from especially in the case of something like the gun cannon, I think that's fair game. I'm gonna be real. I think that's fair game. You could put an Imperialis sized knight and put it on in this game as long as the base is relatively similar. And in the case of the base, again, that's only for the sake of fitting on the terrain. It's not for like, oh, will the game work? It's more like in the realm of like, hey, can you not have your stupid thing constantly falling off the terrain here? But mind you, remember this base size was about the same size as as like a rat ogre and a standard Tau battle suit. So I firmly believe they're gonna do that. Actually, I actually firmly believe, because looking at for example, the because of like things like the white base thing here. Let's get to the deluxe set here quick. The white base, because they have these, right? They have the like multi-part, like the white base. I firmly believe that at some point they're going to introduce like a boss type system or something like that, and that Big Zam will show up. I want to believe. Yeah, I believe that's the. Let's see. Does it say on here? Of course it doesn't. But yes, roughly, because I don't know that it was exactly perfectly the size of the. I dropped my rat ogre. Where'd you go? Rat ogre, where'd you go? Oh, it's right under my chair. Okay. I don't think they're exactly the same size. No. But it's definitely close enough. And again, the bases that I was just building on are not the same size. So, I mean, you can, because the nice part is, so they show obviously are the examples, and like they're putting these sets together to be obviously very thematic, right? The benefit is that, so like, and again, for example, thematically, they want you to look at the that one can go away now. Oh, here you go. This is what I wanted. They're showing this some pretty thematically, right? To be like, oh yeah, here you go. You've got, you know, the villain characters between, you know, here, and here, right? The villain characters, they're against the hero characters, and those are here, you know. You can. Oh, I know the thoroughbred. I just wanted to know, like, what I'm saying here, what's fun is it's not like in the case of this, here we go, of this one, where like you have to run the white base with an ARC 78 and then and like whatever, like it doesn't have, you could make this however you want to. You can add Epion, you could do whatever. So you could make a GO4 GO5 and then paint this as a thoroughbred, and do that completely and totally, and like you can do what you need to do to make those work. Because I will say, man, like the standard, like the what is it, the mass produced Gundam mobile suit, honestly, like I I actually like them. I actually think they're cool. I always like I always like seeing designs for generic units um in Gundam, because if they can make a good looking mass produced suit, then I think that can really help carry, it can help make the designs of then the special ones feel even better. You know, RX-78 feels really iconic because this has a really great simple design to it. You know, like this has a nice simple classic design that doesn't ask for too much, and then therefore this pops out a lot more. You know, because in the case of Char, it does feel a bit lesser sometimes because where are we? You've got the red Zaku is just straight up a red Zaku, but the goof feels really cool because then you're used to just like the normal ass Zaku here slash red Zaku. Now the red Zaku has some special things to it, but honestly, for the most part, it's pretty similar. Char Zaku is not that different. Whereas then, you know, but the Zaku is such a great design that when you get the subtle changes, like with the goof, that it's like, okay, now it feels more special because it's got, you know, a different weapon. It's got a different, you know, it's got a little bit of a subtle design change, but it sticks out. And then similar, I'm not crazy. Like, it's not my favorite. I know it was supposed to, in lore, he's supposed to have legs. The open mouth is not my thing. It is not my thing. I don't think, the vacant open mouth is not my favorite thing on the planet. It's really not. But with this mini, I think it looks great. It's really cool. Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool design to this. This fucking image. I love the time traveling. I love my time traveling hobbyist. Dude, that was the funniest bit from that whole launch video. It was so funny. It's flashbanged. But yeah, so if we're looking, I wanted to showcase this a little bit though. So yeah, like the game itself, the reason I do think it's really cool is because it's a mix of the dice and like card stuff. So you have like, compared to Warhammer, or compared to Kill Team, let's be specific here. Compared to Kill Team, right? You still have your data sheets here. You've got, you know, each side of your data sheets, and then you have obviously objective markers, but then there's some extra stuff on the screen. So various stuff for things that'll help with like essentially secondaries / things to help empower your units. So that's like this energy here. What I do like about it though is it uses this like timeline as a way of dealing with turns. So everybody has like a turn that they start on. So like the mass produced units, so like the standard Zaku or mobile suit or like Federation mobile suit, they get to start on turn 1 because they're less strong, so they can kind of get going sooner. Whereas the more like a Gundam, you know, or whatnot, they'll start on 2 in this instance, right? So you can see here with the 78, they start on 2, but they're a little bit more health and they have a lot more weapons, right? But then yeah, the cards are just extra stuff. You only get 3 per phase, so like multiple rounds essentially have gone by, and but they just help make some extra benefits. They help turn the game in some scenarios and just make sure you can get going, right? So, but otherwise, like everything is it's just movement. So like we showed here, the nice part about the reason why I was kind of denoting that the base doesn't matter as much is that every Gundam just has a move or a speed, right? So you can move, you know, where is it in this case? Where is movement on these cards? Where was movement? I think it's just maybe you get to advance and that's a specific. Yeah. Oh, okay. You can choose to advance and that's 3 hexes. And then I think you can dash. Yeah, you can dash by spending an extra amount of timeline. And that's the thing. So everything in the game then moves you further down. Every action in the game just moves you down this timeline. So by doing a lot in one turn, you make it so that you might not go again until all the way down here. So it's interesting. Instead of it just being a specific initiative. But then you're only moving at hexes. So that's why, like, yeah, if you wanted to do like the various like builds or like if you wanted to proxy things, as long as the base size can fit in the hex and without falling over and whatnot, I don't think it really matters if it's the Gundam Assemble specific one. I mean, sure, might a Bandai tournament care? Maybe. But will your friends at the LGS? Probably not. So I think realistically, yeah, you could probably make a lot of proxies work. Pretty much just as long as they fit. And I think that like, yeah, that like 45, I think it's 45 millimeter base, I think is roughly what these are. That should be fine. Otherwise, you could just rebase the stuff that you do own and whatnot. But yeah, I do really like what has been shown. We talked about this again on the episode, on our Gundam Assemble episode here. I'll actually just not with that. No. I'm like, that's not the window I want you to grab. All right, let's just do let's get, oh no, wait, I need to do it through this anyway. Grab my phone here. Let's see here, and then we've got our good. Get to. Oh. Notice 2, but for some reason 1 worked. All right, sure. Let me get to. Sorry, I'm trying to get to our assemble. Nobody likes a WYSIWYG person. I'm not a fan of WYSIWYG either. I love playing around WYSIWYG. I don't care what people do. Just as long as you're clear and you're not like, again, it's the classic rule. Just don't be a dick. As long as you're not being a dick, then you'll be fine. This is our episode about this, by the way, so I don't want to tread too consistently. You know. Um, but I'm really excited for this. I think this will be a really fun set. I think there's definitely a lot of cool ones planned. Um, like for example, one of the first ones the two of the first ones that could be coming out in October are going to be unicorn. So we'll get a cool unicorn set. I love that this is one of them. I love that this tiny guy is one of them. It's so funny to me. It's so good. I love that. Um, we haven't watched Unicorn yet, so I don't know them I do not know them well. But then Ariel as well, or I should just say, Witch for Mercury set with Ariel. I'm terrible at remembering the mobile suit names from Witch for Mercury, despite that it's my favorite show. But it wasn't the mobile suits that sold me on the show in that one. But yeah, this is also going to be, this is expansion pack 2. This will also be in October. So yeah, I think it looks really good. I'm really excited for playing this. I think it's going to be really fun. Yeah, I just am excited. Why is that broken? Hold on. Man, Streamlabs sucks. I mean, my alerts at least worked, but the freaking it's probably because it refreshes every time. I should not do that. Because I think when I refresh, if it refreshes when it comes active, it literally wipes. It like wipes it from existence. But yeah, no, nobody likes a WYSIWYG person. I never pressure people with it, and I mean that's gonna be a big thing too. It's like, while I firmly believe that Gundam Assemble is the most affordable hoppy skirmish game, and that I would really implore anybody who is a Gundam fan to at least give it a shot, because a $30 entry point is pretty nominal, and you're getting 6 models, the board, and everything you need to play. So I do really think that it's like it could be worse, and like Warhammer, it's like it doesn't even sniff what Warhammer does, like Warhammer is arguably so much worse, and it's why I really don't I'm not worried about this. No, that's not what I want. And it's why I still do think that this is really good. This will be good for just good competition. I do think that there's a lot. I think there's a lot of benefit to just the existence of something like Gundam Assemble. But otherwise, yeah, that's going to be basically it for the stream today. This was I think these were cool. I think building these were really nice. Here, I'll give one last showing before we get going here. I'll turn my camera back on though. Yeah, I think these look really good. It's a little dark. Hold on. Yeah, like I think these look really good. I like their design. I think they've done a good job at the molds themselves. Like they They do have really solid detail here. Come on. Come on, focus. There we go. Like, there's a lot of good detail in this mold. Like, the shield of this red Gundam is a great example of that. So, and like the face as well, I would argue is also very good. Because G-Quux, I think, is an example of one that is extremely difficult to do because like, especially in such a scale as this, because there's so many just tiny bits. Like, look at all the just tiny little pieces that, like, edges and indents that is just part of the design of the mobile suit itself. Yeah, I mean, that to me is the big thing, because I think skirmish gaming is the more attractive and accessible feeling game, because people look at Warhammer, and I love playing standard Warhammer 40K, because like 40K itself is on its own, like at full scale, like a really special thing. But in my life, especially, skirmish gaming is often the easier one for me to do, because my wife is generally going to be much happier if I just schedule the game to be like, all right, so I'm going to be gone for like 2 hours, maybe 3 at most, and then I'll be home. Whereas if I do Warhammer, like 40K full scale, it's like, hey, so I'm going to be gone for like 6 hours. So, and this game looks like it actually will go even faster at the standard 3v3 skirmish. Because one thing that does help though is that even though it's 3v3, it won't go like, they respawn. There's a respawn mechanic in the game. So like whenever you die, you get sent back to essentially a spawn point in your deployment zone effectively. So what's nice is it won't go too fast because you lose all 3 of your mobile suits right away, you know. But it is really I do really hope for a lot. I do hope for a lot with this game. But I do have to play it first. So I will obviously play it, and then we're going to do a whole episode on that, right? Like, where I'm going to go over essentially my review of Gundam Assemble. You know, a big thing especially, so my co-host Dylan also bought this box, but then I know he also does intend to also get the starter set as well. So my hope is we'll be able to kind of do that, get into games, and then make a good review in a relatively timely manner. We won't really, because we live too far apart, so we won't really be able to play. That's why our latest episode where we went to the Gundam Base is actually it was a really special event for multiple reasons, and because we were actually able to hang out in person, which is something we don't get to do, like, very rare. Like, I think we get to do very rarely. You know, multi-hour car drives are not always the most convenient thing to do, especially with my lack of time off that I am afforded at the moment. So yeah, I have I think there's a lot of I think this I have a lot of hope, and if I do like the game, if I play the game and I think it's good, I'm gonna definitely push the hell out of it because I'm really hopeful. But until then, I'm gonna get going. I gotta get ready. Taking my nephews to the zoo today, so I gotta get stuff ready to go for that. But I will be back actually on Monday morning. I'm gonna put out a schedule probably either tomorrow or no, probably not tomorrow. I'll probably just try to get one out early Sunday, and then we'll go from there. But until then.